Hi everyone, and welcome back to Laura Larsen Organizing, your channel to get organized for a fulfilled and productive life, at home and at work. In today's video, we're gonna see the last step of how to organize time, and this is how do we stay organized after the organizing process. How do we keep our calendars organized? How can we stay focused? How to maintain our organized and valued time. Over the last weeks, we've seen already the first three steps in the first three videos of how to organize your time. We started in the first video with the basics of how to organize your time. In the second video, I showed you how to sort through your time, to your calendar, through your activities, through your tasks. And then in the third episode, I was telling you about how to how to sort things back into the calendar. So today we are in the last step of the 6-step organizing process. And just as a reminder, step 1 is the goal, where you can also see this in all the last videos. I'm just doing a quick review so we know where we start today. So step 1 is the goal, like where do you start? How do you want your day to look like? To envision what would your ideal day look like, because we always start the organizing process with a goal in mind, to know where we're headed and to know what we want and what we want to achieve, so the goal. And then comes the 4 pillars of the organizing process, which is then the taking everything out to have an overview, then categorizing to see what we have and identify duplicates, the third step, the sorting out, and then the fourth step, the sorting back in. And these 4 pillars of the organizing process are framed with the goal on top. That kind of is the important layer of all the organizing steps, but also on the bottom with the 6th point, and that's what today's video is about how to stay organized. Because these things are framing it. Because a lot of clients actually ask me when they are done with the full Marie Kondo organizing process, or also after they read the book and they start the organizing process, am I done forever? And the sad answer is no, you're not done forever. I mean, the book claims, and the Marie Kondo method claims, that if you once have done the organizing process, it's a one-in-a-lifetime process. You just have to do it once and then never again, because it's so filling, it's so deep, and also when you do it right and you do it all on your own, it's so inherited in you that you never end in chaos again, because you just cleaned up, you reconnected with what you want, you build an environment that is you, so you never have to do it again. But that's just part of the answer, which is just true if you have step number 6 in mind, and that is how to stay organized. Do this process from time to time again. That's tip number 1. Because, as I said, the goal is framing all of this process. And as you are changing over time, your environment is changing, people are changing, everything is changing. That's life. Life is change. Also, your goals are changing. So from time to time, just make the check-in, because you did all this process to organize your time and to line everything up to an ideal day, whatever your goals are. But with that changing, just make sure that at one time you just check in and see if your actual day still resembles your ideal day, or if maybe also your goals for an ideal day has changed. Maybe with 20, your ideal day looks just totally different than with 30 or with 40 or with 50, or even in between. So make sure that in between you always have this check-in times to actually check, okay, this is my calendar now, this is how I would envision my ideal day, is it still the same? And if you have a bad feeling about, or you can't really tell, or you clearly know, oh no, it's not, then do the process again. And then there's the other part of how to keep your calendar organized, and that is you need a little bit of discipline. That is also the other answer, which maybe is an answer that does not make everyone happy of you, but it is the truth. Because with keeping your calendar organized or keeping your home organized, it's basically the same. Be aware of this holy thing that you just created. I mean, you went through the entire process to create your ideal day, to have maintained your most valuable resource. So make sure, be a guardian of your time, that it just doesn't anybody else comes in and declutters it, or that you just don't watch it yourself and things start filling in because people call you and there's things that you have to do, or you think you have to do them, and just things start accumulating or pile up, and your calendar gets full and gets messy again. So watch it especially when you take over a new task, that you really, the same way you sorted out your task, you're gonna ask the same questions for every new thing that you're supposed or want to do in your calendar. Does it spark your joy? Does it make you happy? Is it important or is it urgent? And do you want to do this? Is this somehow like going towards your dream or like working towards a future that you want to acquire? So really have this in mind before you accept new task that you want to put in your calendar, that you don't declutter it. You need to watch it. There has to be a bit of discipline on how to organize your day and how to organize your to-dos and how to keep your calendar so that it resembles this ideal day, but also watch that it doesn't get decluttered from yourself or from other people. And there I have an extra task for you because I know that this is a topic which is just not easy. And this is about the huge topic of saying no. And it's such an important topic because for so many people, saying no is so difficult. You know, someone else asks you for help, or someone asks you if you want to come and visit, or someone asks you if you want to join tonight for this event. And there are several tips that I can give you how to make it easier to say no. But first thing, I want you to be aware that the people who say it's hard for them to say no, or they call themselves like a yes sayer, or people who say always yes to something, be aware of that always when you say yes to someone else, you're actually saying no to 1,000 other things. So you think your weakness is to say always yes when someone else asks you for something. Your weakness is actually that you're continuously saying no, and you say no to yourself. No to a good night's sleep, no to doing what you actually want to do, no to quiet time or to recharge or quality time. So saying yes to someone else for helping him or joining the event or visiting him says no to 1,000 other things. So always be aware of that one yes costs you 1,000 no's on the other side, to kind of already reevaluate saying yes or just saying no. Because people who say always yes are actually always saying no, and no to themselves. So that's the first thing. A tip that I can give you about this saying yes is there is this no 7 rule. And the no 7 rule means that if you would have to evaluate an activity, if you want to do it or not, from 1 to 10. 1 means like, no way in hell I'm gonna do it. And 10 means this is just the best activity, I really want to do it, and you just kind of scream yes. Then when you rate this activity, try to not give a 7. Because a 7 is just like such a weird in-between number. Let me give you an example. For example, if someone asks you if you want to join for the concert, and you think about like, where would I rate it between 1, not at all, and 10, like, of course I want to join. And you think like, okay, a 7. 7 is like, do I go now or do I not? If you would give a 6 is clearly somehow, no, actually 6 doesn't sound really worth it, I'm not going. And on the other side, if you give an 8 is like, yeah, no, 8 is pretty close to 10, like, I'm going, I really want to. But 7 is just this weird in-between number, and I can't explain you why it is, but it is that way. That 7 is like, actually I don't know if I really want to go or not. I was like, ugh. So that's the first trick that you can do if you're trying to evaluate things, if you want to go or not, that you give the no 7 rule, or that you use the no 7 rule. Meaning, if someone asks you if you can help them or if you want to do something, try to evaluate it. To evaluate from 1 to 10, don't give a 7. That means either do 1 to 6 or 8 above. 8 above means to 10, I'm going. 1 to 6 means I'm not going. So that's tip number 1. And tip number 2 is the hell yes rule. And it's pretty similar to the no 7 rule, but just a bit different. And it says it even a bit clearer. It says, if someone asks you for something, it's either a hell yes or it's a no. So that kind of rule is even more like either it's a 10 or it's a no. But it's when someone asks you, do you want to go to the concert? And just for a couple of seconds, you have to think about, oh, I actually want to stay home and like relax or do something. It's a no. And that seems crazy for some of you. I tried it for a couple of weeks because you really have to get into the habit of this like hell yes or no. But you're gonna see how much of an impact it has for your life. Because it first seems hard because I super often say yes to things where I'm like, oh, like not really my favorite, but I'm sure it's gonna be fun. And then in the end, it is gonna be fun. But also at the same time, I also could have spent a nice evening at home. And if you just get in the habit of doing it a couple of times, you also see how you change your answers at one point. Because if you really like stick with it, and for a couple of times said no if you don't feel like it's a hell yes and you stayed home. And then the next time if someone asks you and you think like, okay, last time I stayed home and actually it was a good evening for me to recharge, also but kind of boring, this time I say, yeah, of course I'm coming, you know? So this hell yes rule really helps you to either you really want something and then you're gonna do it, or if just a single doubt in it, don't do it. And with that, you're kind of learning what your priorities are and also kind of to change your opinions for the next time. So these two things are helping you already to decide if there's someone else trying to intrude your calendar, how to stick with it, or how to say yes or how to say no to an activity and keep your holy calendar clear. But then there is one last tip that I want to share with you, and that is, it's just difficult saying no. I know this, and why is that? It's because saying no has this social pressure, because most of the time when you're supposed or want to say no, there's another person involved, there are other feelings involved. So you're in a confrontational situation where someone asks you and you would have to say to their face, no, I don't want to. And that is just difficult. And also let me remind you, there are a lot of good reasons to say yes to something, right? So I don't say that as soon as someone approaches you and asks you to help or whatever, something, that you have to say no. There are good reasons to say yes, if you want to help, if it's going to be fun, if you think you can learn something, if it's about like maintaining your friendship. There are so many good reasons. But if you really don't think of any reason why you should do that or why you should go there, then you should have the strength of saying no. But it's so hard because you feel guilty, because you reject someone, and that's hard. We're living in a social construct, and it's difficult at that point to say no, to give someone a no and like push him away, and you just feel guilty about it. And there's one last trick that I want to share with you that helps you to kind of not avoid the situation, but like smartly sneak through them, and that is ask them for time to think about. As simple as it is. If someone asks you for something, just ask them, thank you for the offer, I'm gonna think about it and come back to you. And this is not an excuse just because you directly know that you want to say no and just want to avoid the awkward pressure situation right now to just text them 5 minutes later, hey, I thought about I don't want to. It's an actual way to give yourself time to think about it without the social pressure. So say the simple phrase, thank you, I'm gonna think about it. Go out of the situation and think in all peace and quietness about it. What are the advantages of it and what are the downsides of it? You know, use the Note 7 rules to actually think about it. How do you feel? Because also studies have revealed that people who think in quiet about this are more likely to say yes when they really want to do something, but also at the same time they're more likely to say no if they don't want to do it. And this is actually where we want to be. This is what we want to be. We want to do things that we really want to do, and we want to have the courage to say no to things that we don't want to do, to save our sacred time. So the next time someone asks you, it's totally fair to just tell them, thank you for the offer, I'm gonna think about it. And don't think about it 2-3 weeks or whatever. It's not a method to avoid directly the no and just like to sneak out. It's a method where you can actually in quietness think about it, what you want. And then just come back and tell them, no, I don't want it, because then in all this peace and quiet time, you collected yourself a little bit, you found arguments where you can then, you found the courage to tell the person, sorry, I just don't have time, it's just not my favorite activity. Maybe just not this week because you have a project going on or so many other things are there, and you can tell the person no. And that is the most courageous thing that you can do to save your time and to keep your calendar organized. So let me wrap this up. We organized the time. We went through all the steps. We talked about what our ideal day is, how the goal looks like, how then we take our calendar out, how do we categorize it, how we sort it out. We have an extra video for that, and also how to sort your calendar back in. And in today's video, I gave you some tips how to keep your calendar organized, how to kind of save your calendar from activities flowing back in. Let me just say you something in the end about the whole topic of organizing. And that is, especially if you know the Marie Kondo method and you clean out your home and like did all this in your private space, organizing your calendar is obviously different than organizing your home. And that is because in our calendar, we cannot just decide everything that we want to keep after the spark joy criteria as we can do at home, right? Because our time is most of the time connected to other people. When we work with someone together, when we have hobbies with someone together, when we we live in a social construct, not just at work, but also in everything we do, except you're alone in Alaska somewhere and just supporting and nurturing yourself, you know, but everything else, we live in a community, and that means that not everything is in our control. So organizing your time doesn't mean you end up with everything that just makes you happy, because we are part of a community, and that means that the probability is not very high that our personal luck and our personal preferences are on the highest priority of everyone else, right? But organizing your calendar gives you the chance to end up in a day, in a calendar, in a schedule that is way closer to your ideal day than if you don't organize it. It gives you the chance back to sort things out that you don't like, which are under your control, but also gives you the chance just to schedule things back in, to make a prioritization, to do the first things first, to get rid of the chaos, get rid of the multitasking, get rid of the urgency traps that are in your calendar, that are in our time, and gives you the chance to bring your calendar so much closer to what sparks joy to you and what you would call your ideal day. So that's my message to you. It's worth it to organize your calendar. There's so much things to gain about your most valuable resource. So I hope you enjoyed this little series of 4 videos about time management. Check them out. If you have questions about it, just send me a comment or send me questions. You will find all details on my website, but also here on the channel. If you think there's someone else who could help this, please forward these videos, like and subscribe them. That would really help me. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I wish you happy organizing.